Grant, thanks for joining us today.
All right, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Big question. I think everybody's kind of wondering tonight, if healthy, if he passes all the protocol here, Kevin Love, does he start or how is he used in this contest, Grant?
Well, it's debatable. I think a lot of people have obviously seen the success that Cleveland had in Game 3, inserting Richard Jefferson into the lineup. I think he brings, obviously, being able to match the size and sort of going small and switching on the perimeter, good energy, defensive player. So I thought that was obviously the right call by Tyronn Lue. But when you come back now with Love, I think you have to, the playoffs are all about adapting and adjusting. And we saw last year the success that Golden State had with some of the moves that Steve Kerr made. And, I think at this point in time, as a player, you're just trying to win. And Kevin Love, I don't know him like that, but I would assume understands how difficult it is to be in this situation and how nothing's promised. And so you want to win. And so I would think that if Tyronn, I think bringing him off the bench would be best. I think it takes the pressure off him as he's trying to get back from his concussion. Clearly, I think the team, at least got off to a good start and has something good going. And look, it's not that Kevin Love wouldn't play. I think he still can play and contribute and add a lot of value to this team. Look, if they're going to win 3 more games in this series, I believe they're going to need Kevin Love, and they're going to need Kevin Love healthy, playing well. So it's not an indictment. It's not it's not saying he won't add any value or contribute. It's just maybe contributing in a different way. So to answer your question, I do think that maybe bringing Love off the bench is the right thing to do for the Cavs at this point in time in the series.
A lot of attention, Grant, placed on the start that they were able to get off to in Cleveland in game number 3, really attacking there with Kyrie Irving and LeBron. But I thought J.R. Smith and what he was able to do to kind of catch fire from the three-point line, is this something he can duplicate here? Do they need that from him, another big game from J.R. Smith to get another win here?
For shooters and even non-shooters, when I played, if you had moments where you were struggling or stretches throughout the season or even in the playoffs when you struggled, sometimes just seeing the ball go through the basket, whether a layup, a free throw, a jump shot, really could start to trigger you and build your confidence. And you could almost see when he hit his first jumper and he hit another, it was like all of a sudden he just kind of relaxed. He missed the first few, and it was almost kind of like, here we go again. But once he hit a couple jump shots, you could see the confidence, you could see the body language, and you could just feel it on the court, in the building with the fans, but also, with his teammates. And so, players sometimes just need to see the ball go through the basket. And so, yeah, J.R. Smith, obviously Kyrie getting off to a great start. I think they just kind of got their swagger back a little bit. You lose to a team 7 times in a row, dating back to last year, you sometimes question and wonder, can we beat this team? Do they have our number? And so the fact that they were able to come out, have a great start, ultimately win the game and win big, I think was good for their overall psyche. And the key now will be, how they come out now here in Game 4 and how Golden State comes out as well.
You talk about Golden State there. What to you has been the biggest difference? We talk about the physical play that we've seen. I was talking before we started the show today with Chris Brockman, said, man, for all this talk about physicality, this didn't feel like a mid-'90s physical type playoff game. But in your opinion, did you see a big uptick in the physicality there in Game 3?
I didn't necessarily see an uptick in the physicality. I think in Game 3, you just saw a team come out with more fight, more aggressive in Cleveland. I thought their body language and, just they didn't come out to compete in the first couple games. And part of that you have to credit Golden State. But I thought they just, they made Golden State uncomfortable. They didn't concede. They had a collective sort of fight in them. And they just played hard. You hate to, a lot of times it's a cliche. We just have to play harder. But you do, and I thought they were just too cool, just sort of showed up and didn't have that fight necessary to be successful. And they came out and they played blue-collar desperate in Game 3 from the start. And as the game wore on, I think, they gained more confidence. They shot the ball well. It's amazing how good things happen when you come out and you just focus on having great energy and playing hard. And so that was one of the huge – I mean, you can get into adjustments and Richard Jefferson and Kyrie Irving hit shots, but there was just a collective sense of purpose and a collective effort that had been missing, I thought, in games 1 and 2. You saw them there in Game 3.
If you're Steve Kerr, what's the best message to give to Steph Curry in this game? Is it let's go attack early, let's get going early, or is it let the game come to you after his struggles the last couple games?
I don't think Steve Kerr really has to say a whole lot to Steph Curry. I really think, look, Steph Curry, did not come in sort of like a LeBron James, where everyone projected greatness from the time he was 14, 15 years old. I mean, even when he got drafted, he had doubters. And the guy has worked his tail off and put in the effort to become what he has become as a great player. And so there's a certain intestinal fortitude. There's a certain just confidence. There's a certain, great players, one of the reasons they're great is because they ultimately can figure things out. And some guys can figure it out on the fly. Some it may take a little bit. But if we've learned anything from years past and series past, Steph Curry, he'll figure it out. And that's what makes him great. And so last year, he struggled the first 2 or 3 games, but he kind of got going there in Game 3 last year in Cleveland, and I think it carried over. He found something, and it carried over into Game 4. And I think the same thing. He got going, hit some shots, got a little bit of a rhythm. And so it'll be interesting to see how he comes out and if he's able to make those adjustments and be more and have more of an impact on the game and on the ultimate result.
One more question on the Cavs here. With LeBron getting his jumper going a little bit later in Game 3 and kind of finding that rhythm, it looked like, to me, like I'm a football guy, I'm a football scout. Grant, your dad's game was my game, but it looked to me like they were just begging him to shoot the ball, laying off him, kind of crowd him when he got towards the rim. But now that he's got that going a little bit, does that change things for Golden State? They're going to get up in him a little bit more, or are you still going to live with LeBron hitting those jumpers?
Well, I mean, I think the scouting report with LeBron always, even when he was younger and in his prime, was always, look, make him beat you with contested jump shots. And so I don't know if that changes after he hit a few there, particularly in the third quarter. But if you are a Cleveland fan, I think that was a good sign. For whatever reason, and LeBron has been so dominant and so good throughout these playoffs, but he hasn't been as effective or as efficient or as confident from the perimeter. And that really might be the theme all season. But he's so good, he gets to the basket, and he's been doing that all series, almost reluctant to take the outside jump shot. But I feel like he hit some shots, he got some confidence there in Game 3. And that was the first really throughout the playoffs, at least the games that I have seen, where he shot and just shot him with confidence and was able to add that. So if he can continue to do that, that'll be key, because it's so much with all the miles and all the years that he's played to ask him to just constantly beat his man off the dribble and try to score at the rim. That's exhausting. And so seeing him mix in some mid-range, seeing him, hit a couple of threes, if he can find that rhythm, then he's even that much harder to stop.
I want to ask you for a prediction on the game, Graham, but are we finally going to see a close game? Is this going to be a non-blowout, one of the few non-blowouts of the playoffs tonight?
You know what? Law of percentages says yes, we're due for a close game. But I think, when you win 7 in a row, dating back to last year, like Golden State did going into Game 3, complacency can set in. And, and I think they got the message. I think they'll come out with a sense of purpose and a sense of urgency. I think Cleveland knows that this is a must-win. They have to win at home. I think we're due for a close game, a good game. And that would be great. I mean, as a fan of the game, that's all you ever hope for and wish for is that you can watch a great game, a close game. And I do think we're due for that here in Game 4.
Well, Grant, I know you're busy. Look forward to watching you tonight on NBA TV. Appreciate you taking the time to join us here on The Rich Eisen Show. Thanks, man.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.